It's us again. For us, it's the second day of our marathon, and I feel a bit refreshed after Viras, aren't you?
Yes, I'm feeling a lot better after all of that.
Yep. Next, we're going to Gamera versus Gurion, and well, we got it up on the screen. What do you think so far of the monster?
That actually looks pretty badass, I gotta say.
Yep. And hopefully this is going to be a lot better. From what I hear, it's still going to be goofy as all hell, but not as bad with the stock footage. They're still going to use it for like flashbacks from what I understand, but I don't think they're going to use it to say, oh, Gamera's attacking the city. Oh, it's all black and white. Good God, that was still so bad.
Yeah,
So,
hopefully that was enough of a success so that they got a bit of a better budget to make this one.
hopefully. So yeah, we're going to go for the last four, and I think you and I know how this is going to go. We're going to probably go through these three that are going to be varying qualities, but then we're going to have to end it with one that's even worse than Viras. Yep, Super Monster. Like, let me just put it this way, as I've said before, look at all the stock footage from Viras, even worse. Because we're going across all the other 7 movies of stock footage for that movie. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. And because we decided we've gone through 12 movies total, we're going to compare and do a final video where we talk about the entire franchise. So, yeah, we'll see you on the other side. Well, that was better.
That was definitely better.
Okay, let's go back. Since yesterday we were kind of traumatized from Viras, let's go into a little detail about why this works better than Viras.
Yeah.
For one, okay, the kids in Viras were not horrible, but they were obnoxious looking back. They were those type of genius engineers, but they didn't feel like kids. These kids are a bit closer to Ichi. They're not as good as Ichi.
But they definitely feel more like, kids.
Exactly. And the plot here is a lot better. Let's be honest. Viras was way so confusing. And it was done in a way that needed the stock footage. And unfortunately, also is what required Viras for not showing till the end. Here, we get an interesting monster, basic in his design, but we're introduced to him right away.
Yeah, we see him, right early up on chopping up basically a space XP of Gauss.
Yep, and they keep saying Gauss, and we actually found there's multiple Gauss that attack this counter-Earth. And I think this was one of the other inspirations for Guardians of the Universe.
Yeah, or it's just I can kind of see these are the sort of themes they decided to draw upon in order to remake things later in the Heisei era.
Exactly. Mostly just the notion of there were multiple Gauss that caused a lot of issues, because we only see one get attacked, and then we see another one fly around. But yeah, and then in Gurion, it's one of those traditional, there's a monster controlled by people, and when it's controlled, it's a lot more dangerous. When it's not being controlled, it's more feral, and it's still dangerous, but not as much. And we're introduced that basically these kids make their way onto a spaceship that came there. And then they take off into space, and the little sister, Tomoko,
is left behind and basically has to try to explain to the adults what happened, but basically no one except the Constable Khan believes them.
and even he it shows that he does believe to an extent, but not. It's like not much he can do. But I do like that. I do, and the constable, the cop, whichever, he was fun, especially when we were first introduced to him.
Like the kids were trying to prank him with a dart gun, and you could tell that he was just like, oh you
Scamps.
silly kids.
You scamps. Yeah, but at the same time, like, follow the rules. Don't be two people on one bicycle. Not all bicycles are built for two, of course. But yeah, and then they get on the ship. They're brought. Now first you think, okay, don't tell me these kids have figured it out. Nope, thankfully not.
Nope, they were just messing around, and then the ship was brought back via remote control.
Exactly.
Like, the kids weren't expecting to actually get it up and running.
I know, and at first we start seeing it activate, and they're like, 10, 9, 8. It's like, please tell me they're messing around. Yeah, they were messing around. And once it takes off, they're like, oh no, what's going on? Maybe we gotta wait for the fuel to run out. Then they meet Gamera in space, and Gamera seems to at first think, oh, these kids are in space. Hey, let's have a race. But once he realizes where they're heading, he's like, nope.
Kids, where are you going? Come back, kids.
Yep. But, yeah, they make it to Terra, is what it's called. It's a counter-Earth. It still makes zero sense, but given how this was still during the point of the space race, you can give a few liberties, because we still didn't know much about space.
Yeah, it's just like, the science was still being figured out, so you can kinda, like, give it a pass there.
By having it be, it's on the opposite side of the planet, that's why no one's ever seen it. Okay, nowadays that we have satellites that can show us there is no counter-Earth. But back then, you didn't have that.
Yeah, and it was apparently a common idea in sci-fi at the time that was a thing.
Exactly. But yeah, then they land there and they meet these space babes. Who, I'll be honest, are a lot better than the ones on Viras. Where they were mostly kept in the shadows. Here, we see them in the shadows at first with the same creepy eyes. But then afterwards, they seem to act very nice at first.
Yes.
But then we find out they're cannibals. They want to eat their brains. But for good reasons.
They want to get the knowledge so that they can then go to Earth.
Now, granted, they picked kids, but I guess in the case of beggars can't be choosers. And then, we are introduced to Gurion, who is an interesting monster, very basic. Basically, that's a giant knife. You know, a shark knife. Or a knife, I guess. You know what I mean. And then Gamera shows up, a nice fight, but then the fight ends wonky. Because Gamera just climbs on up and he just falls into the water. You're like, what happened? I mean, we know Gurion kept stabbing at him and causing him to bleed, and then got him in the eyes, and Gamera smartly put ice on his eyes. But yeah, and then this is the one that gets the infamous acrobatic sequence. What did you think of that? That was a bit weird, right? And we get and there was one thing that was really annoying. They kept, because in Japan, the phrase for stars and planets, celestial bodies, is the same word. For some reason, the dub kept saying stars instead of planets.
And yeah, that eventually turned into a running joke for us.
No, it stopped. It stopped though partway through. And yes, there was the dreaded traffic accidents. Although since we went with the AIP dub, it was simply accidents, no traffic anywhere. So, although the subtitles kept saying traffic accidents. Yeah. I thought this was supposed to be the official, so it'd be saying urban chaos.
Yeah.
But I think accidents is a lot better. Also, yeah, see, this is the AIP, but it includes the sequence of Gurion slicing up Gauss. That was pretty... I can see why some kids were traumatized.
Yeah, it's just like, holy wow, they did not hold any punches. The Wharf effect is on full display here.
Now, granted, it's a space version, so for all we know, those could be weaker anyway.
But still.
But yeah, and then it just goes on from there. This felt like a legit good kids movie. There was some flashbacks, stock footage, but that was basically just to show up Gamera's a friend of the children. And
it basically stayed only on the bits where Gamera was rescuing kids. There wasn't I didn't feel like they were padding for runtime too much with that.
Exactly. The only one that went a little long with the one with Gauss, but that's because that rescue was a little long. But yeah, I mean, it was still very good. Like I said, this felt like a better kids movie.
Yeah.
Whereas Viras felt like, we have a tight budget. Let's try and make a kids movie as what we can. But we can't show the monster until the end. That, I think, was the weakest part of Viras.
Yeah.
holding off the monster until the very end. If they had done some point sooner, it would have been a lot better.
Yeah, like my thought is, oh hey, you had these people who were apparently like had their like skin, that more or less got killed and had their skin stolen. Why couldn't we have had aliens walking around?
No, that was the dub. That was a dub thing. Remember, the
But
sub
still.
had to be they were just wearing fake human suits in general. But yeah, we could have had that. But nope. Or we could have had it be people from the first ship survived. Nope. But again, this felt so much better. I would definitely give this like a 7, 7.5.
Yeah.
It's not as good as the first three. Nowhere near as good as those. Would you agree?
Yeah.
And it's still not as good as all of the Heisei era, but it ekes beneath Iris.
Yeah.
Iris, the quality makes up for that one. Here, the campiness is both a plus and a minus.
Where it's a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it's charming, but on the other hand, you can't help but cringe a little inside.
Especially some of the points in the fight, like Gamera's jumping up and down. You're like, I can see the strings practically.
Yeah.
Okay, so yep, we'll be next for the next one. Gamera versus Jiger. We'll see you on that one.